We shouldn't be handling part of it in China. You know, I mean, that's just,
Well, yeah.
that's a safety issue, that's an economic issue, and I think that is a very good point.
That's
I
a
think
health issue.
you're sharing something that is, I think, very, very valid. And I don't know, what about our
And the thing-
pharmaceuticals? What about
Go
the
ahead.
fact that we get 85% of our pharmaceuticals from China?
You know, and look at the prices we're charged for them.
Right.
And that's another issue. You know, we're taking these, we've got such an imbalance, okay? They have so much of ours. Your previous guest with the hotels.
Right.
Just to touch on that real quick. Somebody wants to know about the hotel industry in Asia that's run the U.S. hotel industry. Look up Anbang. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with Anbang, but you take Anbang, who has holdings from the Waldorf Astoria to Hilton to a lot of different places in the U.S., some of our larger places as well as smaller mom-and-pop places. And everything is this money, this is what's happening.
Right.
Since Mac Faucus went over there, who was a Montana congressman or senator, went over there, poor drunken sot, and was
Jim,
appointed ambassador to China. Okay,
Yeah.
it's exploded.
we're going to have
their
to
holdings
continue
here in
this
the
on
US.
another day because we're out of time, but you're raising a lot of good issues. Hope you call us back and we'll continue the conversation. But there are so many aspects to our relationship with China that need to be investigated and changed going forward for a lot of reasons. All right, thanks to our great America's Voice viewers. More coming your way on WGSO. Jeff.
Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
You don't want to frighten the American public,
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
but you need to prepare for and assume
Strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
that this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the U.S.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Live from Fort Defiance on Capitol Hill in our nation's capital. It is Thursday, the 30th of May, the year of our Lord, the 30th of April. Already getting to the end of it. 30th of April, year of our Lord, 2020. It is the day before kickoff on the reopening of the country. You're here at the War Room Pandemic. John Frederick Radio Network, America's Voice.News, the streaming service of the Trump Revolution. That is now Dish Channel 219. Make sure you tune in. Also Newsmax TV in 70 million homes, FM 99.1 and 103.9 in Chicago. And our production partner, John Fredericks, the John Fredericks Radio Network, throughout the world on nexus.org, IRRS. And we'd love your comments, so keep them coming for everybody in the world, English-speaking world that's listening. And also later in the day, in Mandarin, blown through the firewall with G News and GTV. Okay, it's the day before kickoff. We got Jason, Jack, and Raheem, all of us here. Day before kickoff, how are we set for kickoff?
Yeah, so the no state has actually met their 14-day decline. And so, but in the midst of these new job loss numbers, 3.8 million more filing for unemployment.
It's almost mind-boggling. 61, was it 61, almost 62,000 dead?
61,005.
61,000 dead. 30 million people unemployed. I mean, it's just scale
That's
of
just
this.
over 6 weeks.
Over 6 weeks. The scale of this is absolutely almost mind-boggling, right? And every day we chronicle this, and even we're stunned at it, the scale of it, right? And it doesn't seem... Yesterday also was another 2,000... Did we hit the 2,000 mark?
Oh, we hit 2,461.
2,461. The model is wrong because New York is decelerating, yet we continue at these above 2,000 dead every day. It's just a scale. I want to make sure people don't forget that. Clearly, the University of Washington, these models they look are just not correct. I mean, we're going to be it's going to be a significant number. But what I think's got everybody is that this plateau. But then you hit 30 million, and I might add, not just because I was on CNBC earlier, but the stock market I think's had the best month in 30 years. So the asset, the $6 trillion bazooka from the Federal Reserve is working. The president should understand that Powell is his wingman, right? But as I said, hey, the carnage on the other side of this is still the opportunity cost, where we are, how our government is, big government, federalism, all of this is all to be determined. So we're kind of feeling our way through this. The biggest thing I think, and it's not getting enough play, the president at the federal government level did set out this criteria. We're just going because it's game time and we got to go. People just saying right now, hey, everybody, regardless of political ideology, got to keep people safe, got to worry about the public health. But it's time to get on with it, right? People just don't want to be cooped up anymore.
Yeah, and people are anxious to get going. I think there's a lot more cautious optimism was actually a phrase that Fauci used this morning on Today's show. But with Texas and with Ohio, as we see the plan in Florida that Ron DeSantis is rolling out, he's essentially reopening most of the state next week except for Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, which is a big deal. So that's a whole southeastern chunk of the state, which is the massive population center. And then also we have California. Actually,
is that because of the density or the elderly population?
All the above. That's just also where they were having the most outbreaks. So is largely
never got to be a hot zone, but close enough for Florida.
Right. So in the same way that, say, for example, New York State is opening in different chunks because, Buffalo is in a much different category than, say, New York City. But California has taken a little bit of a step back. Governor Newsom had talked about his four-phase plan that he has for reopening. There are all the images in Newport Beach of the beach being packed over the weekend. So now they've closed off the state beaches and the state parks to make sure those are closed. But on the flip side there, Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles is saying that for anyone in LA County, if you want a coronavirus test, a COVID-19 test, you can get that for free. And so there, again, seems to be a little bit of the unevenness when it comes to the testing, because if you have the mayor saying, hey, anyone who wants it can go and get a COVID-19 test, but other places we're hearing a little bit. So that seems to me, if you're offering that up in Los Angeles, then they must not be that hard to come by.
Let's play some clips here. By the way, is it Dr. Fauci, or I think you had the term for him, Dr. what?
Dr. Goalpost or Dr. Moving Goalpost?
Is it Moving Goalpost or Goalpost?
Moving Goalpost.
Okay, Moving Goalpost. Dr. Moving Goalpost, he did his morning rounds, and we got more conflicting information.
Did his morning rounds, and he was very confident when it came to remdesivir, which we're going to get to coming up later here. That was kind of the primary reason why he was on, but he was a little bit less confident when it came to talking about the reopenings. Here he is with Savannah Guthrie.
Let me ask you about the stay-at-home orders. The federal guidelines expire today. Many states are taking steps now to open up their states in different ways. How nervous does that make you as the person who's got their eye on this pandemic?
Well, Savannah, I wouldn't say it makes me nervous, but it makes me again committed to the things that I have been speaking about now for a considerable period of time, ever since we got into the mitigation phase, the 30-day guidelines of gradually opening up as we get into now opening up America. Remember, that's a phased process. The first phase, we call it gateway. In other words, you've really got to have 14 days of continual diminution in the number of your cases. So if the states and locally follow those guidelines in a gradual way and have the capability of, if you get blips, which we will get blips, Savannah, there's no doubt, when you pull back, there will be cases. And what we need to do is make sure they have in place the capability of identifying, isolating, and contact tracing individuals. If they do
and
that,
do the states that
I feel cautiously optimistic.
So he essentially goes through and he covers all of his bases there. He talks about the gating process, which, remember, even the Sanjay Guptas of the world said that the gating process, that 14-day run-up, was good. Everyone gave President Trump a lot of credit and said that was the proper guidance. Issue is all these states...
Nobody's made it.
Nobody's made it.
Last time I looked, kickoff is still tomorrow.
Kickoff is still tomorrow.
But he just reinforced the fact that the gateway is the appropriate way to do it. So you're sending a conflicting message because, hey, in the new federalism, you've devolved this back to the governors. Newsom can do it his way with some overall guidance, but it's only guidance. It's not, hey, you can't do this if you don't meet that. But Fauci reinforces once again the 14-day diminution, right? That it's got to be declined. We don't have one state today that shows that, do they?
No, I mean, and this goes to one of the points I made yesterday, where I think the White House needs to take a stronger hand, because look, this is a good game plan, and I'm not doing the keep it closed forever. I'm not doing the let's do another 30 days of lockdown. I saw the front page of Politico today. John Harris had a rather hysterical piece saying, let's admit it, we're willing to let people die to get this country reopened, which is just a total first world soy boy media whining thing to go and say that. But what I'm saying is, if we're going to go and put out those guidelines that actually get widespread praise, you even have the Sanjay Guptas of the world saying this is the great plan, have the 14 days of decline, then we're going to be there, then go and use a little bit of the stick to go and push the governors who we like, who we think are doing a great job, DeWine, Abbott, others, and say, hey guys, go that extra 3 or 4 days or whatever it needs to, or maybe it's 5 days.
Till you hit the 14.
Till you hit the 14, just so we can say, so if you're going to go and set out those benchmarks.
So the phase 1 gateway, the box is checked, get on with it, right? So they're going kind of early. Look, some of them are got 10, 11, 12. You may get there, but you could be late.
One of the things that's interesting, there's a doctor from, and he's also a state representative out in Minnesota, and he's saying that he thinks he's seeing it in the hospitals, and I'm wondering if this is partially why we seem like we're still accelerating, like some states start to go down. They realize that this is the end of their ability to really capture some cash, and I don't want to say this in a callous way, but
you just did.
But
what do you mean capture some cash?
But the reality is, it's $13,000 if you have COVID, and it's $5,000 if you don't. So there's a great incentive on the part of many of these hospitals to claim COVID on almost everybody that
is the most egregious comment. I want you to show. Where's Cole? Didn't you get a defamation thing yesterday just for your?
Even
where's Cole's lawyer?
Listen.
Okay, hold on.
Doctors at Johns Hopkins even said.
Hang on for a second. I just want you to show me any fact in any hospital in the country. All of hashtag war and pandemic. Okay, hashtag war and pandemic. Bannon's call. Just like there's nobody dies of the flu. I want to show because what you're smearing is doctors, the doctor, nurse, and administrative teams, that they would actually check off COVID if they didn't have that as a fact.
Well, Steve, you for years have been saying they check off influenza.
What I say is that is a administrative box. As administrative was good. As administrative, that's a good punch. But
I'm fighting in the war room.
I'm punching back. That's because that administrative checkpoint has a number of different things in it. It's got this thing, and just flu happens to be one of them, right? Here, you're actually saying in a crisis, they're specifically saying somebody died of COVID and didn't die. Here's what I'd like to know. Let's get the guy from Minnesota on, because I'm all about getting more information.
Scott Jensen.
Let's get Scott Jensen on and have Scott say, back it up, what's happening in Minnesota, that they're actually checking guys off.
And also, shout out to our people. Listen, I know there are doctors listening.
Yes, we love it.
Hashtag give me confirmation or tell me I'm out of my mind.
In fact, we'll set up an anonymous tips box that you could, if you're a doctor and you want to be anonymous. Well, if they want to be, they should be able to be.
I think we'll do that. Look, if this is happening, it's outrageous, right?
But my question is, we've had the argument without setting the terms of the argument. Are you alleging that people are dying and don't have COVID and they're checking them as COVID? Because
to get $8,000 more. Yes, he is.
Example, heart attacks have collapsed in America. What happened to them? Are they getting checked as COVIDs, or are they getting checked as cardiac arrest?
But are you saying that they
don't exist?
Are you saying they had a cardiac arrest and had COVID, or they didn't even have COVID, had a cardiac arrest, and were marked as a COVID
we know,
death?
for example, in New York, those extra 5,000 deaths were not tested, but presumed.
Well, and to backtrack up here, the CDC did say they think the real count is actually much higher, because people would die of, like I said, a heart attack or a stroke or other things.
By the way, so let's do the following, just so we can get as much information as out there as possible. Let's get somebody. I want to go back on that 5,000. Let's get somebody from New York State. You book them. Let's get somebody from New York State that can come in and define the 5,000 recalibrations. Also, this whole issue of strokes. They're saying people in their 20s and 30s, they're getting, but they've got the COVID. It's not that they're just nervous about COVID, right?
But they're also.
I'm not even counting the suicides from the emergency room guys, because I don't want to count I don't think it's fair to count right now on the economic side your argument about all the suicides are happening because of the economics. I think we ought to stick to the thing itself.
Yeah, I agree. But
can
I mean,
the guy
also
can
the
the guy
National Institutes of Health in Britain, NHS, I guess it's called. They just came out with a study a few days ago saying that they believe there are going to be 15 to 18,000 excess cancer deaths in the next year because of failure to treat people properly during this pandemic. Well, that's almost equal to the number of people who died of COVID-19 in England so far.
Put that on the CCP's bill.
Well, I agree with you, Jack, in so many ways. What I want to make clear is that I don't want to be making the allegation that people are being marked as COVID deaths when they have nothing related to the disease or the virus.
That's
right?
what the guy in Minnesota is saying.
Right.
What these people are saying is that people are checking off the farther, I don't want to call it the fever swamps of the right because I've been in those fever swamps before. But what they're saying is that guys, for money, for cash, because they're hurting in other things, so they cut off elective surgery. They're checking off the box because you get $13,000 for a COVID patient and you get $5,000 for a regular patient.
Well, USA Today actually looked into the allegations. They interviewed Jensen. They interviewed
and what was their
a surgeon from Johns Hopkins named Mark McCary, and he confirmed it. And they came out.
McCary confirmed it.
They said we rate the claim that hospitals get paid more if a patient is listed as COVID-19 on ventilators as true.
Okay,
yeah, we know they get. We know the payout is higher. That's true.
But
that's not under
as these
dispute.
hospitals are in
the
financial
dispute is
collapse.
whether or not doctors are being, contrary to their oaths by doing this.
I don't know that it's the doctors so much as it's the administrators.
Okay,
of the hospital.
the same ones that check off that people die of flu. Nobody dies of flu. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be back to the War Room in a moment.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo. Call 1-800-709-9777 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes one too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance. But she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
Jim and Joanne are here to pick up the same prescription. They both know the system is not on their side. They both know drug costs are out of control. But one of them is taking back control with GoodRx.
Next.
So while he's paying that much, even with his insurance, she's paying this much just by using GoodRx. Use GoodRx to compare prices at pharmacies in your area and stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today and take back control.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room. Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
While we're doing checkings, we're also going to check later the PolitiFact thing. I guess this supported me halfway, but we're going to go all the way on Dr. Goalpost. Not now. I want to save it for the audience, but I want to ask you the opening question I had on CNBC today was kickoffs tomorrow. Where are we going to be in 31 days? I want to start with Jack Maxey. So we're kind of got this new federalism, right, where the president has devolved that power to the governors on both the lockdown and the open. And of course, as I said there, we had a tougher lockdown that we proposed. The president and them had one that we didn't think as tough, but it seemed to have worked well for the governors, right? Empowered them. So Jack, where do you think, given where we are today, 61,000 dead, plus or minus whatever your administrators are falsely charging, and the problem with that number, it's another 2,400 yesterday. Everybody, including guys I know that are running miles over the thing, had it like going down to zero today. There were models done, right, that I saw that people had it at zero today. Under the 60 nationwide, we're at 2,400. And we're 30 million unemployment. So given that tomorrow's kickoff, Jack, where do you think we are at the end of May?
I think in 30 days, the American people are going to begin to have a better understanding of the mortalities of this thing. I think it's happening every day. I think it's why you're seeing protests around the country. I mean, even in Chicago, Lincoln Park, the citizens tore down the fences, keeping them out of the park yesterday. And these were like suburban type people doing this. So I think there's a lot of outrage out there about how this is panning out. And I think the country is ready to be open. And I think 30 days from now, we're going to look back on this and be like, wow, how did this happen? And we're going to be back to work, and we're going to be leading the world like we have for the last 200 years.
I think we're going to be in a similar spot that we are now in the fact of kind of this, a little bit of the
Jack knows who his base is, doesn't he? He plays we got to find a state to run Jack for governor of, or if any state will have him, senator. Sweden, the state of Sweden.
He's already
we got to get to a herd immunity state, right?
They're building statues to Jack in Sweden right now.
I want to get some tattoos on the girls like the health commissioner.
Yeah. Don't press it.
Okay, that's it. Get a little weird. But I think it's going to be a little bit of this cautious optimism, what we see right now, what Fauci's saying, but it's going to be at the national level. Keep in mind that May 25th is a day that we keep coming back to as far as really the national reopening. Now, we know it's all in the rolling peaks and the rolling reopenings, but we're going to be in this same spot.
Connect that, because that's very important. About the gateway, the phases, the way the president, the White House is looking at it, really May 25th is the date, even early on, that was all supposed to come together.
Yeah. So May 25th has consistently been the day when people have said, despite all of the rolling peaks, then the rolling reopenings, kind of the uneven, because again, New York's a different timetable than Seattle, different timetable than San Fran, different timetable than Miami, different, from Montana. Everyone's got their own different timetable here. May 25th, Memorial Day, is really when everything in the country is going to be, for the most part, back open. Here's where I think we're going to be. So we're going to have the little bit of the cautious optimism, a little bit of the trepidation, but you're still going to have some states, take Virginia, for example, right across the river here. June 10th is when their shelter in place is in order. We get to Memorial Day, and we're seeing states open now, and then, Memorial Day is still another, 26 days away. So, almost an entire month away. You're going to have people in places like Virginia being like, damn it, everyone else in the country is opening up.
And California.
In California, we don't have this huge outbreak. I see people on the beaches. We've been sheltered in place for months. You're going to start seeing these protests and things like that.
That's when you get the Jack Maxey, the Jack comes. Okay, so
but just while we're talking, they're showing up on the screen Mark Cuban, who we had on a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago. Comments from him and others that the NBA is talking about resuming and doing the end of the season down at the Disney Wild World of Sports there down in Orlando, where they have Disney has like a really cool sports complex, a bunch of football fields, things like that. I went to Buccaneers training camp once that they had there, but they're talking about essentially concluding the NBA season there at Disney. We saw comments, even though Fauci said that sports will probably be done for the whole year, that baseball is saying we are going to have some sort of a season. We're going to do this thing, damn it. By the time we get to May 25th, people are going to be saying, we've been tired of being locked in. We want to start traveling, want to do some vacation things, want to do some fun things. Let's get this thing going, damn it.
I want to go to your, before I ask you about that, about repetition, saying it. Why is the Jack, can you cough now? Can we take another, put a chaw in. Okay, good, put a chaw in. Are we okay in the war room?
Just an elephant in the war room.
Yeah, about repetition. Why are they not in the White House every day putting up a chart that shows this 25th day, May 25th, what they've done, and kind of leading into that? Wouldn't that repetition over and over again about the rolling peaks, all of that, help kind of drive the set that, hey, we're not making all the decisions here, but we're setting guidelines and frameworks, but here's the overall architecture of the framework?
Yeah, look, I mean, if you take a step back and look at how the task force was first put together, very, very short notice. You had, obviously, Azar in charge of the thing first. It then changed. You had the Labradoodle, whatever it was, the guy. Then you had it...
Chief of Staff.
Given up to the Vice President. You had a change in the communication staffers throughout this whole thing. So there hasn't really been, up until this point
change of
and beyond...
an overall Chief of Staff?
Chief of Staff. So you haven't really had a central point of information, one person who's coordinating the across the White House response to this stuff, which you desperately need in a situation like this. You know, running political campaigns, which effectively this is, you're running a campaign against a virus, you're running a public information campaign. It requires effectively an auditor to look across everything and say, well, you guys are putting out this, but here's what we're saying today, and you haven't repeated this yet, which we actually tweeted yesterday. Why is it not on YouTube as well? And all of this stuff should quite easily come together if you had a central point of information on those things. And that's where the repetition comes from. That's where the thematics come from. And that's why I think, to answer your question, the White House hasn't had that so far. Now we're getting into a little bit of more sturdy situation with the staffing in the White House, the new communication staff who were excellent, the new chief of staff who we're a big fan of, obviously. You would expect to start seeing some of that. And you are starting to see some discipline now. You're starting to see discipline in the sense that the president isn't going up to the press briefing, just talking for 2 hours, and then letting the media just hit out at him for another hour on top of that. You're starting to see discipline in terms of what the public should be seeing, needs to see in terms of the business people there, the roundtables, the discussions around those things. And you're starting to see the thematics coming through. We're on the last day of the 30 Days to Save America, the 30 Days to Slow the Spread, whatever you want to call it. And now we're starting to see, even from the president's Twitter feed this morning, how what he should be focusing on is something he said the other day, right? Rapidly but safely, rapidly but safely. And you can see that even the media thought that that was a good line. They all picked up on that, like, rapidly but safely. Okay, we like that. Stick with that. Every single day, that's what it should be about.
You know, I want to add a point here just to where he was saying about the discipline and kind of how things are looking. And again, this is really kind of an inside baseball thing. And I tweeted this out, but last night the White House schedule came out for today, the president's schedule. And for 4 o'clock today, it says the president delivers remarks on protecting America's seniors. Now, we've seen, obviously, we went for a month or whatever it was with doing the Brady briefing room press events, which started off very strong. And then there's been all sorts of articles you can go and read about whether those are working, not working.
Started with power moves and then devolved into a debate with third-tier journalists.
And I talked to a reporter last night and said they're changing the strategy hasn't changed. It's changing a tactic to go from the taking questions there versus taking questions in the East room. It's all a matter of if he delivers the power moves and the big, bold action or not. That's where you're going to see it. But what they went to this with, the president delivers remarks on protecting America's seniors. That is a forward-looking, I am going to go and get something done. I am delivering you the information. Part of the thing is the press corps is now educated on coronavirus. So they don't feel that they need to get this information from the president or from the task force, the administration. They just want to get up there and chop block them. So when you're going out there and saying, hey, we're going to tell you what we're doing here to protect seniors, okay, that's much more of a forward-leaning on offense. We're giving you information. It doesn't say plan, doesn't have to necessarily be charts in the flow charts, but they're going out with an agenda. Here's what we're going to do to protect a vulnerable community. That's a very smart press tactic to be going into today.
Go back 50 episodes or whatever it was. What did we say? We said that they should be having the health correspondents of these outlets in the press briefing room, because we knew exactly what this was going to descend into. This was going to go from, here's the press who are naive about this situation and been caught on the back foot, still obsessed with impeachment back in January, February, into March, and now they feel like they've got a handle on it. They feel like they can go up there and just debate the president, and that's what we're seeing now. And you wouldn't necessarily get that so much from the health reporters who are not out there to make political points. So that's number one. But number two, when did this thing really change? It really changed around the immigration executive order. That's when you saw the president try and make another bold move and effectively get reined in by some of his advisors. And the same thing happens as far as this period in time is a hugely opportune moment, an increasingly important moment to talk about repatriating manufacturing to the United States. It's a time where everybody should have Hamilton's report on the subject of manufacturers on their desk, and they don't. And that's, if you can't do the big moves, you shouldn't be up there in the first place.
We talked about from very early on that with these reopenings, with the rolling peaks, and then the reopenings and this federal, devolving it back to the governors, the three things you had to do was a convergence of therapeutics in all different types. And we'll talk about some of your developments and how the Chinese have tried to chop block us. Also, the mass surveillance testing to the degree that we could have it with contact tracing and quarantining of those individuals, plus the antibodies testing. That convergence and the sequestering of, what is he talking about? The elderly today. The elderly and also comorbidities, maybe minorities, certain minorities. That combined gets a organized process so that and you see in states like DeWine or Abbott, so that it puts pressure on maybe some of these governors like Pritzker in Illinois, maybe like even Gavin Newsom. You've seen Elon Musk come out throwing down. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the money he's losing at Tesla, right? Totally unrelated, Elon, right? So
Kramer dunked on him pretty hard.
Oh, did he? I didn't say that.
Yeah. You had the same response as Mark Cuban last night talking about Elon Musk.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back with all of that in the open. It's game day tomorrow.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. And watch this. When you don't need them, the lenses flip up and out of the way. Then snap right back into place when it gets bright again. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. But don't take my word for it. Check out what these people had to say. Take a look at the screen and tell me what you see.
Nothing. Just blank.
Nothing. There's nothing there.
Absolutely nothing.
Flip down those tack glasses and look again.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. There was nothing, and then it just appears an American eagle. It's absolutely insane.
Can you read that fine print on the bottom right there?
Land of the free and home of the brave. God bless America.
Whether you're on the trail or on the golf course, on the water, or on the slopes, with flip-up tack glasses, you'll always see clearly without any glare. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. Only tack glasses feature the precision and quality of genuine Bell & Howell lenses, and they're backed by our lifetime guarantee. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. You get it all, plus free shipping. Here's how to order.
To get your flip-up tack glasses for only $19.99 with free shipping, call 1-800-284-4127. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us online at flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us at flipupglasses.com. Call or log on now.
From roof to foundation, the damage to your home can be devastating, from clogged gutters, leaking roofs, rotting wood and fascia, and flooded basements. Protect your entire home with Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system. Once our ladders go up, you can put yours down forever.
One of the things that I like the most is that I don't have to get back on the ladder anymore.
Leaf Filter starts by cleaning, sealing, and realigning your gutters, We then install our micro mesh screen over your existing gutters, which is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water.
Trying other products is what made us finally go to Leaf Filter.
And Leaf Filter's lifetime transferable warranty makes it an extraordinary value.
Leaf Filter is going to make my home more valuable, especially when I go to sell it.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Call or log on today and save 15%.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
61,000 of your fellow countrymen dead, 30 million of your fellow countrymen out of work. As we end the month of April, it was T.S. Eliot that said April is the cruelest month. It's been a very, very cruel month to the United States of America, also to the citizens of the world, and still the citizens of China, as the CCP, with the blood dripping from their hands, has still not been held accountable. In fact, they're on a massive propaganda campaign to blame it on anybody but themselves. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Also, Steve Cortez is going to break away from everything he's doing this morning. Join us at 11 o'clock in the second hour of the show to talk about these job numbers and the way out of here. It's still the economic carnage that we see all around us, although the stock market had its finest month on a percentage basis in 30 years. So you have and I know a lot of my populist colleagues are sitting there going, hey, another Wall Street bailout. We got 30 million people unemployed. We'll get into that. Cortez will be ready to breathe for fire. But let's go back. If we want to avoid all the hate and discontent that Brother Maxey foresees in the future, right? We're actually the liberals in the north side of Chicago, right over there by and Lincoln Park. It's all that's not Trump country, right? They're tearing down the fence. Is Lincoln Park is where President Obama had the rally the night he won, correct?
I think it is.
Definitely. But remember, I call it. Don't take this the wrong way. I refer to it as like a Nuremberg. It was all they were all crying.
I thought he did Grant Park. Did he do Lincoln Park?
Was it Grant?
I thought because Grant Park's the big one downtown. Lincoln Park is further up north.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, when I
one.
say north, meaning like
right.
North,
but my point is the guys in Lincoln Park are not. They're not a ton of deplorables around there. For them to be tearing down the fence shows you people want to get out.
Yeah, you got a lot of like young folks around Lincoln Park. You have some some older money that's kind of around there. I think our man Steve Cortez is in Old Town, which is just south of that.
Yeah, Cortez is around there.
Fact check: it was Grant Park.
It was Grant Park. That was good. That was
encyclopedic.
I lived in Chicago for a couple years.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah, right in the Gold Coast. It was money, right at the corner of Oak and Rush.
And you were working in 2008 when Obama blew you guys up, right?
No,
crushing blow.
No, I was there in 2004. 2008, I was on the almost successful presidential race of Mayor Giuliani.
The almost successful presidential. I remember that.
We just
the Florida strategy.
Yeah, the Mike Duhame Florida strategy, as we call it. Like we just attached his name on it, and the poor guy, he wasn't even the one. It was Brent Seaborn who actually came up with the Florida strategy. But we pinned it on Duhame, and so Duhame gets to own
Mayor
that.
Giuliani is such a good guy. He never heckles you about that. That's what a gentleman he is.
Oh no, he does, just not on
privately.
Yeah, privately. Jason, why didn't you get me more votes in Florida?
Okay, therapeutics, testing, antibodies, sequestering, contact tracing, all of it. That was all kind of the set. Hey, mass on point. We're going to be able to do this, maybe move things around to the degree to do it. You've got the peaks and the rolling peaks. They've said from the beginning, Vice President Pence had always had that 25 May. We got the kickoff tomorrow. Where do we stand with the rest of it? Where do we stand with, and it's not the snarky press trying to chop block President Trump, but from your perspective, and you guys do this every day, where do you think we actually stand? And with the messaging we're getting from Dr. Fauci and Ambassador Colonel Dr. Birx.
Well, as far as right now, I mean, look, with the big news right now is on the remdesivir. Jack talked about it at length yesterday, and Dr. Fauci was out doing it was like the Jackson 1984 victory tour this morning talking about.
But Kramer's blowing us up saying we didn't talk enough about China. We'll get that clip and then I wasn't tough enough on China. Jack, what exactly, separate rumor from fact, what exactly is this thing with China in this therapeutic drug?
Well, my problem with China from the beginning, they've lied, number one, right? And I said this actually in an interview about a month and a half ago. I said, if it turns out that hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir, which they had claimed that they had already studied and didn't work, if it does turn out that they work, and there was significant anecdotal Fauci evidence that both of them did work, it's quite an indictment to me of Chinese science. And it's an indictment of their system that does not allow free flow of information. And I think it's kind of like an attempt by the CCP to propagandize their efforts prior and to undermine our efforts. You look around the world, some of these countries who adopted this hydroxychloroquine program right out of the box are doing amazing. Turkey, come on. You look at Bahrain, you look at most of the Middle Eastern countries, they adopted this quietly. And the same thing with India. Nobody can explain why India has such a low death rate, unless you want to use anecdotal evidence. But, so I think that this is something that we in the West, and I'm talking about all of the free countries of the world, and I include Hong Kong and Taiwan in that, I believe that we together with communication and open information are going to resolve this. And this is going to be a disease that everyone tells us will be with us, that we're going to be able to deal with.
This is the most significant news worldwide about the pandemic part of this, and it tied into the capital markets and economic in that you saw a real, particularly when Fauci kind of blessed it, a real move, not just in the stock market, but you could feel the animal spirit said, hey, this is the first real news with remdesivir, right? Did the Chinese, you believe, because Kramer's saying this, did they do something early on to try to slow our understanding of this or try to get us off point of focusing on that?
Well, I wouldn't put it past them, Steve, but I will say if you read that study that Lancet showed to try and prove that our study was wrong or Gilead's study was wrong, just like their hydroxychloroquine study, the control group was getting all kinds of antivirals. So there's no controlled study. I mean, this is emblematic of a broken system pretending to be a Western power.
Dr. Fauci has said yesterday it was by the end of May that we will have testing. He's been told by others that it was testing. The clip we played yesterday was end of May or end of June. I think it was end of May. Correct?
It was end of May, early June.
Early June. So this ties in with the 25th. So he's saying we should have that element of the threefold pack. We clearly have some therapeutics that look like they're coming online.
Right, and that was and again, it was, he did a little bit of the moving goalpost thing for the people that need it,
Right.
But essentially, the overall White House plan, which I actually thought there were good metrics and there was a good rollout by Dr. Ambassador Colonel Burks,
right?
To call you, Steve. I thought they did have a good plan. That essentially gets to 2% of the population. But I thought
as a starter.
I thought the way Dr. Burks laid that out was very good and very regimented in the way they did. But that's late May, early June. So everything keeps coming back to this Memorial Day.
You have a breaking news that you dug up. Was it World Health Organization or was it CDC on the website? Can you report that out now that you found?
Yeah, actually, one of our listeners sent this to me. It was very fascinating. I have Dr. Hatfield reading over it right now, but I went through it. It's about 47 pages, and it was a discussion of the safety, efficacy of these quinine, chloroquine-based anti-malarial drugs that have been used extensively in Africa. In fact, I think they say several metric tons of this is given out every year. And what they found was that this danger of heart palpitations or the electric charges in your heart becoming too gapped out, maybe you have heart problems, almost zero in millions of patients throughout Africa. The mortalities that they had were almost in every case people trying to self-treat, taking far too much, and I mean, statistically, not nothing. Essentially,
here's my problem: if Dr. Hatfield and others vet this, and we're able to put it up and talk about it over the next couple of days, this is another thing. We're not conspiracy theory guys, but in their fiduciary responsibility. Why was this not put out in the firestorm of this 4 weeks ago? And no offense, why has the media, CNN, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and others doing full due diligence with the staffs they have, at least bring this up into the conversation and say, hey, this is off the World Health Organization. It's a 47-page study. Here's the pros of it, the cons of it. But to know that it hasn't even been mentioned a date, and it takes a hashtag War Room Pandemic listener, which this is the power of the hashtag War Room. Send us everything you've got. We will vet as much as possible. Why is it a deplorable, a grundoon, right, and not one of these big apparatuses that should put everything on the table just for full disclosure?
Because truth is the first victim in any war, Steve. And let's remember, the left wants our president to fail.
Boy, that's a pretty harsh charge there, Jack. You don't think the country's going above that to rise above that?
I think the country's going above that, but I think the leadership on the left and within the mainstream media still has some way to go to join the team. I think you saw that in Lincoln Park yesterday, right? Those are probably people who are not on our side of the fence. But
they're on your side of the fence because they tore the fence down.
At the same time, though,
they joined the Jack Maxey revolution.
Remember, almost a month and a half ago,
nothing shall stand before me.
We pulled up the CDC document describing, like, oh, you're traveling to an area with malaria.
Yeah, no, it was on the website.
Well, they could have just told those guys, though, that there was like free old style ice, on the other side of the fence. They would have torn it down. I mean, come on, this is Chicago.
Well, but the thing about the HC, let's go back to it. In the CDC guidelines, like warning you about your family taking hydroxychloroquine for a trip to Africa, the only danger they list is psoriasis. This is published by the CDC.
Right. Your back watch, you get a back rash.
I just read 47 pages of the World Health Organization discussion of it, and psoriasis is never even mentioned.
This is going to be, as we jumped on Dr. Fauci yesterday, this whole thing about financing, programmatically certain studies at these labs in China, right? All of this is going to come out of World Health Organization, FDA, CDC. What have people been doing, and why was this not in full disclosure, immediately? We had another bombshell with Dr. Fauci today that I don't think people. Was this on the Today Show today, where he dropped the thing about can we play that clip on the vaccines?
Yeah, I was just saying, getting Greg in the war room. Kevin Hassett, we're going to get the clip in just a moment here, but was saying that the unemployment rate, the national unemployment rate, is going to look like 19%.
He just announced that today?
He was just on Fox. We're having Greg pull the clip right now. I was just reading the transcript, so I got distracted for a moment. Let me pull up Dr. Fauci, but he was talking about the 30 million people being unemployed, and that'll take us up to there. So this is Dr. Fauci with regard to we said we're going to go to the on the testing.
Yeah, we had the vaccine. I wanted to play the vaccine one, which is a bomb. Do we have that one?
Yes, here that is. All right, and it's sorry, the NBC, the audio it's not perfect, but we have it. Here we go.
The administration has confirmed that it has a program called Operation Warp Speed. That's what the administration is calling it, with, according to reports, the goal to speed the timeline for a vaccine to develop hundreds of millions of doses to be ready by January. Do you feel that's in the realm of possibility?
Yeah. Yeah, I do, Savannah. I mean, I'm obviously part of the team that's involved in that. And the question is, you always have to say you want to get a vaccine that is safe and that's effective and that you can scale up rapidly. So what the plan is right now, as I mentioned to you a couple of times on the show, we're in the early phases of a trial, phase 1. When you go into the next phase, we're going to safely and carefully, but as quickly as we possibly can, try and get an answer as to whether it works and is safe. And if so, we're going to start ramping up production with the companies involved.
That's pretty big.
It's huge, but the time frame of that's even particularly huge, right? Not just your. The other thing I would like to see in the East Room or the Rose Garden or the Brady Briefing Room, Operation Warp Speed with a presentation. This is the same thing on the therapeutics, where they were laughing at President Trump with the UV and the bleach and everything like that. Get the guy from BARDA up there and show the 200 things you're working on, 200 things we put money in back of, with the top 10, that this is the ones that we're doing the tests of remdesivir and hydrochloroquine, all this other stuff, but then show the outside the box and even the ones that, hey, we have no earthly idea, but this is a full bore, and I would love to see Operation Warp Speed in a formal presentation in front of science and technology writers and give it, here's what we're doing, here's what we think the time frame is. We'll come back, a short commercial break. We're going to return in a second. I want to get more into this in a second. Exactly, kickoff is tomorrow. What it's going to look like in 30 days. What's going to look like in 60 days and 90 days on War Room Pandemic.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new Copperfit compression gloves with sure grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new Sure Grip bands built in to provide a strong, non-slip grip for more power and control.
You need total control of your hands when you're doing anything with construction. Your hands are your livelihood. The Copperfit gloves are great. The grip is outstanding here with these different ribs. It makes my hand a lot more usable. It just feels like you're just ready to start the job.
The gloves have been a game changer for me. They help with flexibility and pain and soreness. They allow me to do my job even better.
Breathable wicking fabric with an open finger design for full range of motion, feel, and control.
They relieve my pain. When I grab something, I'm not in pain. The support or whatever magic these things do, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter to me what it is. It works.
I get a lot of pain, and it can make it difficult to do the smallest thing. While I'm wearing this, I do not have any pain. I can use it on the keyboard, I can use my phone, I drive with it, I sleep with it. I love this glove.
The new Copperfit compression gloves with Sure Grip technology. Relief from painful muscle and joint soreness. Guaranteed or your money back. Call 1-800-984-5571 or on the web at getcopperfitgloves.com for only $19.99. Order right now and your shipping is free.
I've tried it, I use it, I know it works.
Copperfit gloves definitely just make my life better.
I've used Copperfit before. This has helped my hands so much. These things work.
Feel better with copper-infused compression. Ask for it by name. Copperfit compression gloves.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Leaf Filter's stainless micromesh screen fits over your existing gutters and is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with that? I should. Call 833-LEAF FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the War Room. Before we get to Warp Speed, do we have the cut of my CNBC on the new federalism? I want to play that, and we'll talk about these governors in the last part of this segment. We got Steve Cortez is coming on 11. Steve Cortez on fire. About 30 million Americans unemployed in the best month we've ever had in the stock market in 30 years. The dichotomy of that, the juxtaposition, right? What's happened?
We had actually advocated if you're going to take, you should have a harder shutdown. But I think when the president did it and backing these governors and having kind of this new federalism turned out to be smart. People closer to the deck plates could actually manage this.
So that's what he did with the shutdown, and now we're going to do the open. And the open will start with, Mike DeWine, I think, is on the 5th. Is he coming in a couple of days, early next week?
Yep, so he comes in early. And, Steve, you actually went on a little bit longer. You had a little longer clip where he talked about the bold action from President Trump. I want to play that.
Smart. Look, President Trump took bold actions at the federal level when he had to, stopping the travel to China, stopping the travel in from Europe, declaring a national emergency that allowed FEMA to get more involved and have more resources. But so far, I think it's come off quite well, given the horrific nature of what we had. Remember, if the Chinese Communist Party had told us back in December, when they knew about human-to-human transmission, they knew about community spread, they told the world. Southampton University in England says 95% of this will all been avoided. All the deaths, all the agony, and all the economic carnage. Given the fact that was hidden from us and people lied about it, I think generally everybody, regardless of political ideology, whether it's Gavin Newsom in California or Governor Cuomo in New York, Governor DeWine in Ohio, Abbott in Texas, DeSantis. I think people pulled together, and we've actually come through at this point, and now let's get on.
And that's what I think. Look, 100 days ago, they were just getting ready to shut down. I mean, the CCP knew what was going on, but the world relatively was oblivious to it. Should we have been that oblivious to it? That's a question for another day. But 100 days ago, it was a different world. All 30 million of these people that we're talking to right now that have no jobs and are sitting there going, am I going to have a job on the other side of this bridge? Remember this bridging event that we've got, which is really replacement of this drop in aggregate demand. Cortez is going to be all over this in the next segment.
It's, what's remarkable, and we go back and do the history books, and of course there's going to, we know, Nancy and her whole, impeachment push or whatever she does next. But imagine if Obama or Biden had been in the White House, and on January 14th,
or crooked.
Or, oh my gosh, crooked. And, with the broomstick parked outside of the White House.
Crooked, we love you.
Yeah, crooked, crooked. I think that's what that UFO video was. I think that was Crooked getting back to take the nomination from Sleepy Joe Biden. Anyway, so Crooked's got the broomstick parked outside. Imagine.
Did he fall asleep during her endorsement?
Oh, totally. Well, he was up past his bedtime.
It was,
in fairness,
it was 4:30 in the afternoon.
Right.
You can't do it during the drowsy period, right?
But I want to make a very serious point. Kind of all snark aside, and I can put off snark for a minute or two. January 14th, WHO tweets out, no person-to-person transmission. China's honest. We're monitoring this. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing slightly the WHO tweet. How do you think that a President Crooked, a President Biden, or even a President Obama would have shut down travel from China then before the end of January?
Zero chance.
Not in a million blanking years.
First of all,
no chance.
They would have gone along with Dr. Goldpost, Dr. Fauci, and these guys on the 28th. Remember, with the Navarro thing, we're adamant.
February 28th, saying you don't have to wear a mask.
But I'm saying even in January, they were adamant that you've got to follow WHO. It doesn't make sense. You never close borders because it only makes guys hide more information, which is a fallacy, right? You've got to close borders. They would have never even had the meeting. They said, absolutely, we're not going to close. We're just take it in. Who knows? The scale of this thing would have been even more biblical than it's already been. It's already the biggest mass casualty event in American history for civilians.
Well, you know what? We also have to give credit to the Trump team because Navarro, as we showed yesterday, on the 14th of February, he had already ramped up vaccine, studies. He had already ramped up, and we remember this was a very difficult thing because we don't have the APIs. He got universities around the country to make batches of chemicals so that they could ramp up the supply of this Remdesivir. And one of the reasons why is, and the media's never published this, there was this early study done right at the start of this where they infected several hundred rhesus monkeys with SARS-1. And all of them who were treated with Remdesivir survived.
No, I'm in agreement. I want to come back to an agreement I had as well on the Crooked or Obama or whatever in charge of this. You'd have 250,000 dead, but you wouldn't have combativeness from the media. You wouldn't have Sanjay Gupta going up on CNN every day saying this is terrible, this is this has been mishandled, all of that. It would be a completely different national response to this with many, many more dead.
The one thing we know that they would have not devolved this power back to the governors. It would have been a much more centralized process. Which, look, there's benefits to trying to do it in a centralized way. You lock it all down at one time. You come with a set of rules, and there's a trade-off there. By the way, now that we've mentioned it, the specials have been so hot that we're doing another special today. It'll come up at 5 o'clock, but we've got, by popular demand, we're going to have Rosemary Gibson. She's going to spend an entire half hour with us. Also, Gordon Chang. We've got Gordon Chang, who's one of the top experts. You see him all the time on Lou Dobbs, all over Fox. A fantastic individual. And we've got more surprises in the special this afternoon. It'll be up at 5. The committee on the president.
So I'm looking at another thing here. So remember we talked about Tom Frieden,
former CDC, and New York Health Commissioner.
Right. This is so great. In May of 2017, he wrote a letter to the editor at the New York Times saying that Tedros would be a qualified candidate for head of the WHO.
This is the whole fraternity these guys have. No due diligence. Tedros has been an absolute total disaster. He's got to be replaced by Ben Carson. We should not give another penny to that. And the buried lead in yesterday's thing about Mike Pompeo. Pompeo essentially said, we want to get access and look at all the labs. We just don't want to look at the P2 lab, the CDC, Chinese CDC in Wuhan, and we just don't want to look at the P4 lab in Wuhan. We want full access to all their labs. And the reason we're going to have to do that is WHO and others have not done their jobs, right? This is quite evident. This thing has to be managed. It's got to be totally open. We have no earthly idea what went over there. And you got Frieden putting up a guy that's a total disaster. And this is but I don't want to get people's attention too much on WHO away from CCP, because I think people say, "Oh, it's WHO." They're like the Grundoons in this, right?
They're two sides of the same coin.
It was, well, yes, but the real decisions are made in Beijing. They just tell Geneva what to do. Okay, short commercial break. We're going to return with Steve Cortez. We're going to have a group discussion with Steve Cortez on 30 million unemployed Americans. But it looks like the Fed system on asset help is holding. We'll see you in a second.
Everyone loves the benefits of compression socks, but they're just so hard to get on. Until now, introducing the all-new Copperfit Energy Socks, redesigned for the first ever easy on, easy off fit to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support. A new blend of stretch fabric for the most comfortable, easy on, easy off compression fit.
Being a SWAT commander, we train to win. The Copperfit Energy Socks, they didn't feel like other compression socks. They totally exceeded my expectations.
Our most powerful copper-infused fabric, woven into our easy-on, easy-off compression sock to help reduce swelling discomfort from prolonged sitting or standing.
I'm 38 and a half weeks pregnant. Copperfit Energy Socks worked